welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday morning. Hey Wing, I got the video. We'll see if we can play it. Unfortunately, I forgot to grab the most important thing, which is my cup of coffee. So if you guys bear with me for just a second, I'll go grab my coffee, and I shall be right back. It's about 20 minutes. Yeah, we might be able to do it. Alright, hold on, folks. I promise it would just take a second. Alright, perfect. Sorry about that, folks. Shame on me for forgetting the most important part. The most important part of every morning, which is a delicious cup of coffee. Morning. How's it going? Hey, Gmon, how's it going? So, a quick update, folks. It seems like, unfortunately, the death toll in the Miami situation has risen to 12. So I think they found somebody else. And I suspect that more bodies will be found. And as far as I can tell, a lawsuit is already underway. Have they found anybody alive? Nope. Save that one person. I think it was a kid. I think it was a kid that they pulled out the first day. But other than that, I mean, realistically speaking, we are at 159 missed or unaccounted for. So I suspect that the death toll is going to be about 100-ish, 100 plus. But yes, there are going to be I believe a grand jury is going to start reviewing this, because I think that there's going to be a civil case on its way. They're trying to determine who is responsible for this, and I think the case so far is going up against the board of directors. Wait, before I start spewing fake news, let's see if we can find that. Let's see if we can find that headline. I could have sworn I just saw it. Let me see. Local news? What about top stories? Ah, here we are. Yeah, okay. So I did find it. Grand jury probes into Surfside condo collapse should start with that mega 15 million repair bill. Yeah, so I think that there is a case coming up here. Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle said Monday she'll ask a grand jury to examine safety issues raised by the collapse of the Champlain Towers in a complex in Surfside. Yeah, so I think that they may be I think that there might be some type of legal action. I don't know if it's criminal or civil, but definitely there's going to be there's already that in the works. The Surfside disaster may be the deadliest accidental building collapse in US history, so there'll be a lot for a jury to consider. Yeah, yikes. This is why we must get land back. Companies should not own apartments. The people who live there should. Well, yeah, I mean, like, even, well, to be fair, I think, like, even if, I think that there are people who own those type of apartments. It's really just, like, a lot of gross incompetence in terms of, like, who cut corners. I don't know if the person who cut corners was, like, the contractors, or the board of directors, or somebody in the city council didn't do their job. Like, we really don't know at this point. This does not mean I'm not in favor of getting housing for people. I'm just saying that, like, I don't know if this is, in this situation, we don't know who to blame yet. Alright, folks, we got some headlines to go through. We couldn't get through this one yesterday, but we'll start with this. Tucky boy. Coming in hot with an insane new conspiracy theory. Let's go.
Yesterday we heard from a whistleblower within the U.S. government who reached out to warn us that the NSA, the National Security Agency, is monitoring our electronic communications and is planning to leak them in an attempt to take the show off the air. Now, that's a shocking claim, and ordinarily we'd be skeptical of it. It's illegal for the NSA to spy on American citizens. It's a crime.
Okay. Okay. So, no. First of all, no one cares about, like, the NSA is not interested in your silly show. Second of all, didn't the entire, like, Snowden leaks prove that the NSA and all these intelligence communities really don't care and they will spy on anybody? But that's besides the point. So, like, yeah, they listen to all. That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't. The fact that they, like, this guy thinks he's so important that he's being the target of an NSA thing is, like, absolutely ridiculous. No. This is another conspiracy theory, much like how he attempted to allude to the fact that there's, like, something involved, like the FBI had something to be involved in January 6th. All nonsense. Thank you for the follow, Phil Dohor. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Appreciate that. So, this is the latest conspiracy theory by our friend Tucky. Hey, Octosquiddies. They don't even bother anymore. Why do illegal domestic spying when you can just get the information from our allies who are spying on us? That's a possibility.
It's not a third world country. Things like that should not happen in America.
Things like that should not happen in America, yet it happens, like, on the daily. That's the whole point of the Snowden thing. Tucker never breaks character. It's impressive. Yeah, I suppose. We'll give him that.
But unfortunately, they do happen, and in this case, they did happen.
Yeah, now he cares about NSA spying.
Who's in a position to know, repeated back to us information about a story that we are working on that could have only come directly from my texts and emails.
Ooh. Here's the thing. If there's such a explosive story like this, it would like it would stand to reason that you would have the receipts, right? Whenever Tucker does all of this stuff, like even from his like beginning rant, he never provides any type of like receipts at all. Like he never tells you what study, he never tells you where he got his. He just says like vague references of like some people have told us, you know, like, oh yeah, we spoke to some FBI agents. Like, oh, wait, what does that mean? Yeah, reality doesn't matter, know your audience. True. I wonder if the staff gives him a smirk or laughs during breaks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he himself even believes any half of the stuff that he's talking about.
There's no other possible source for that information, period. The NSA captured that information without our knowledge and did it for political reasons. The Biden administration is spying on us.
Oh, yeah. So, oh, I see. That's right. I see. So there's a giant conspiracy by the Biden administration to take down Tucker Carlson using the NSA. Gotcha. Like that time the Mayo allegedly lost a package to him? Yeah, that's right. Hey, Darknet. He's just reading the script his Nazi writers wrote for him.
We have confirmed that.
Confirmed.
This morning we filed a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, asking for all information that the...
Interesting. So is he gonna show like where he actually filed this FOIA? Because like, I don't know. This guy lies a lot. This guy lies like all the time. Much like how Steven Crowder made like an entire brouhaha about how he was suing YouTube because freedom of speech, and like it turns out he never actually filed a suit against YouTube, and he made a whole big deal about it. I wonder if Tucker Carlson is going to reveal his actual filings for FOIA.
The NSA and other agencies have gathered about this show. We did it mostly as a formality. We've also contacted the press office at both NSA and the FBI. We don't expect to hear much back. That's the way that usually goes.
Oh, I see.
Congress...
Wait, so hold on. So this is how he's covering his bases. He's saying, look, we're gonna try it, but we can't expect to win, right? The forces at B are just too powerful. We're just gonna have to accept that we'll never be able to give you you're just gonna have to accept that we'll never be able to give you the evidence. Sorry. Do you see how he primes that? Unbelievable. Hey, Surfer. Morning. Yes, headaches do suck. Oh, I've seen this. Wait. Oh, yeah. Ha! I was like, wait, I've seen this before. I once had to sleep in my 10-year-old Lucy's room for a wedding. In the morning, I would hear her rehearsing in the mirror for her interactions in school. That's Tucker, but he's in his 50s, true. I don't know how to work this thing. Just use your mouse to zoom. Oh. Huh. It's fascinating. Yes, I've seen... I don't know if I've... Is this like a newer version? What in the world am I looking at? It's an entire graph. It's an entire graph here. I'll post the link again. Of how, like, the, like a history of the intelligence community and how all of it kind of ties in together. It's like a map. Did you see the new Caleb Maupin book accusing all of BreadTube being CIA? Wait, what? Wait. All of BreadTube is CIA? Yeah, according to an anonymous source. Okay. Hey, folks. Known CIA plant, Natalie Wynn. Known CIA plant, H-bomber guy. Wait. Prezi, I don't know what this is, but this is a fascinating, this is a fascinating way of, like, making presentations. I like this. Yeah, it's presentation software. This is great. This is great. Alright, folks, I'll post it in chat again just so you guys can have it. Alright, Tucky, hit us up.
Congress can force transparency on the intelligence agencies, and they should do that immediately. Spying on opposition journalists is incompatible with democracy.
Bro, you're not a journalist. Relax.
If they are doing it to us, and again, they are definitely doing it to us, they are almost certainly doing it to others. This is scary, and we need to stop it right away.
I can't. Okay, so, no. You're not a journalist, first of all. Second of all, no one's spying on you for the specific, like, reason to take your show down, okay? That's our job, okay? We're the ones here having to sift through your bullshit and debunk all your nonsense, okay?
Farmland is vital. You need it to eat. But you'll never guess who owns most of the farmland in the United States.
Yeah. Needless to say, like, this isn't true, alright? Just like how the FBI did not have anything to do with January 6th, the NSA isn't, like... See, the thing is, like, if this was true, he would have the receipts for it, okay? If this is true, he would have the receipts for it. Hey, Elio, how's it going? But he doesn't. He talks in vague generalities and... allegedly, certain people said something somewhere. That's how this guy operates. And people buy it. People buy it. The reason why I wanted to, like, kind of open with that is because, first of all, that is, like... I mean, we're getting into, like... We're getting into, like, Alex Jones territory. With Tucker Carlson, right? Now that's basically where we're at. But unfortunately, all of that... Yeah, exactly, Octosquiddy. Some people are saying something somewhere. And usually, like, the facts that he does say are, like, cherry-picked or skewed. To paint... You know, to paint the picture. Right, if it was proven in court that one of my favorite pundits was a known liar that shouldn't be taken seriously, I'd stop listening that same day. Yeah, but the problem you're having there, KTS, is that you are a reasonable person. You see, the operative word in that court case that you're referring to is any reasonable person would know this. The people that are listening to him are, generally speaking, well, not reasonable. So, which brings me to this point, right? Because I think that this is a problem, okay? This is a problem. We have 56% of a party that is not living in reality. We have 56% of one party that's not living in reality, and that's a problem. And that is a problem. 56% of GOP voters say Biden won the 2020 election by voter fraud. A majority of Republican voters said President Biden won the 2020 election by voter fraud, a new Hill-Harris X poll. 56% of registered Republican voters in the June 24th to 25th survey said Biden won the White House because of voter fraud, while 25% he won fairly, and 19% remained unsure. Like, that's kind of... Ooh boy. Okay. 88% of Democrats said Biden won fairly, while 5% of voter fraud and 7% said unsure. Half of independents say Biden won fairly, while 20% he won the election through tampering, and 31% said they are unsure. So, like, you can tell the disconnect of the disconnect between, like, realities here, and, like, not only that, it even permeates, like, through Democratic and independents. Like, the propaganda lie train is unbelievably effective. Unbelievably effective. Hey Heat, how's it going? Well, they're wrong how to combat this kind of ignorance. The only thing I could do, the only thing that I can think of is, like, we watched a Kyle Kalinske video yesterday, and, like, yes, he's correct about complaining about, like, distrust in the media and stuff like that, but unfortunately he didn't offer us any type of solutions. The first thing that I would say to offer an attempt at a solution is the media needs to tell the truth, but, like, needs to be more what I mean is that the media needs to kind of act as a check and balance on power, right? They just need to report what's going on as a news source, right? So if you're out there doing reporting on, I don't know, the next Supreme Court case, like you should be reporting on what the case is about, how this could affect you, who are the players in this case, and like that's what I'm trying to say is like the media should strive to be more objective, like neutral in terms of like how they make and how they spin stories, right? That's what they should be doing. Tell the truth. And I think that there should be a social pushback, a like as a society, we should be quick to condemn media outlets who lie, right? We should be quick to call out bullshit, right? Kind of like how the moment I saw that Tucker Carlson story, I had to talk about it because like this guy reaches millions of people somehow. The fact that 5% of Democratic voters say that there was voter fraud, that Biden won because of voter fraud, is already unbelievably disturbing as it is. Yeah, but like, okay, but we can do consequences without having the state being involved, right? Like, I wouldn't be in favor of the state imposing consequences for like media dishonesty or whatever. I think it should just be like a kind of like a social, like societal shunning, I guess. Like if a media outlet comes out and says like the most ridiculous stuff, like the NSA. Well, the problem is the lines are so the lines are so blurred because like Tucker Carlson isn't news, okay? He is opinion. He is opinion. He's entertainment. He's not news. Just to get it out there. But the problem is people think he is news. People see him as a news guy, as like a reporter or like as a news source, right? As a rule, society should be more condemning the moment somebody like Tucker Carlson gets out there and says some wild, ridiculous stuff like the NSA is spying on him for the purposes of taking his show down, right? People should be like, wait, whoa, nah, I'm good, and turn that off. Right, there should be also, like, I mean, we used to have semi workable guardrails back in the day. It was called the Jesus, what was it called? The free, it's something about the press. It was called the Fairness Doctrine. Yes, it was called the Fairness Doctrine. There should be clear rules about what you are in media, right? Like J0QR said, which, by the way, how's it going? Yes, thank you. Octosquiddies and Claydonius, thank you. The Fairness Doctrine. There should be a clear disclaimer about what you are. Are you a news anchor or are you just like an opinion guy talking out of your head? You have to beat them at their own game. Oyan quickly fell back after they were sued by Dominion. The powerful only care once it affects their business. True. But the people are taking this as fact, so how will they learn? There has to be a pushback on it. People like us have to look at it and be like, hey, whoa, that's not true. That's not true. That's what we do here, right? We try to kind of illuminate that. Smarties in chat, true. Just so we're all clear, Tucker Carlson argued in court that he's not a journalist, but rather entertainment, and no reasonable person would take him seriously. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So like that's imagine your legal defense is well No reasonable person would listen to me, so why are you guys thinking this is true? And then people still listen to him. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Alex Jones too. Well, I mean, Alex Jones is, I would say, even a level above him in terms of like craziness, conspiracy theories, right? And he still tried to use that defense. That's right. Half of independents say Biden won fairly, while 20% he won through election tampering. Imagine 20% of independents, meaning like the folks who aren't necessarily registered with one party or another, possibly the biggest voting bloc, is still, it lives in La La Land. That's how strong and effective this narrative has been. Right. Yeah, that's right, Octosquidies. Well, Memo, speaking of which, Fox News just had to pay out $1 million to settle a suit. Fox News just had to pay out, I think it was a million something dollars for a sexual harassment suit. They settled. Wow, I am shocked. Yeah, so the problem here is the effectiveness that this narrative has permeated even to the biggest voting bloc. In 20% of independents say Biden won through election tampering. Mind you, with what evidence? With what evidence? How did you arrive at this conclusion? What this tells me is that people literally just take what was told to them by, like, I don't know, the usual suspects like Tucker Carlson as fact, without a single like step back and say, wait a minute, this is very serious. Where's the evidence for the massive election tampering that would have resulted in an entire upset in the presidential election? Like, where's the evidence for this? Because that's the first thing that I would ask. I'd be like, hold on, wait. So, you're telling me that this entire election, there was so much voter fraud and tampering that it actually overturned the election results? Oh, well, this is a huge thing. Okay, well, where did this happen? I want to know. How could 20% of effectively the largest voting bloc somehow get caught up in this is what's really bizarre to me. I just can't believe that this is like a thing. This is unbelievable without a single iota of evidence, right? Florida just completed its audit because, again, the definition of insanity is to count the same votes over and over again and expect a different result. Florida just concluded its audit, and guess what? Squeaky clean. Once absorbed by the cult, it becomes a typical sunk cost fallacy. Admitting you have been fooled takes a lot of willingness to revise your views. True. Yeah, the most effective thing to add to these lawsuits is the apology and acknowledgement of willful wrongdoing and lying. Having to stop in the middle of a segment and read a legal clause or admit that you're lying is really effective. True. Rudy's being investigated again, and Trump's next rally is cancelled with a mega on social media. Yeah, true. Rudy has other problems. So Rudy has other problems to deal with. When OAN did it to the Mike Pillow guy, one of the anchors walked off because he didn't want to be sued again. Yeah, so like, I mean, this is unbelievable to me. This is unbelievable to me that, like, this is even a thing. 31% of being unsure is also a massive, like, a huge chunk too. "55% of voters overall said Biden won fairly, while 27% said he won by voter fraud, and 18% said they were unsure." So, like, when you aggregate all the numbers, still about a quarter, 27%, say there was, like, massive voter fraud that led to an overturning of an election result. This is unbelievable to me. Previous Hill Harris X data found that 30% of Republican voters say that they believe former President Trump will likely be reinstated to office this year. 30% of Republicans believe in some just out of this world conspiracy theory, or just out of this world, like, I don't know, assertion that that Donald Trump will be reinstated somehow. How do they figure? I don't know. Some of them have vowed civil war if it doesn't happen by August. Yeah, I'm sure even within those 30%, there's always a couple of these folks who are willing to go the extra mile. Somehow, it always ends up being, "Nah, I'm good, Memo. I'm good. Hard pass on that. Hard pass on that. No, no, no. No, not even. Not even. Like, there's a lot of things that will happen before the National Guard gets involved. So no, no. Most likely they'll get knocks on their doors by FBI agents before that happens. I just find this unbelievable. No, not even. It would be the FBI. What, like, the FBI? It's just astonishing to me that this many people are disconnected from reality. Law and auto. True. A large amount of them actually, some studies show that more than the January 6th people are planning for civil war. I mean, like, these people have been talking about this for quite some time. It's all over Parler and all these other far-right social media outlets. I mean, this isn't the first time we hear rhetoric like this. I just think that we should not indulge in any of this type of, like, civil war stuff. Like, But I seriously doubt that when it comes down to it, they're actually going to do anything. Although I don't know at this point. I don't know how possible it is. But this type of talk has been a thing for quite some time. So, I don't know. It boggles the mind how, like, intelligence dropped the ball for January 6th knowing this, but whatever. So I think that the TLDR of this entire thing, like, moving on from, like, Tucker's, like, incredibly ridiculous conspiracy to this poll that shows just how too large of a percentage of Americans are not living in reality, I think that we have to make a monumental effort. Okay, we have to make a monumental effort to bring back the true, bring back objective reality when we talk about things, right? Because like I'm sorry, but like I don't think that I don't think that like we can really, like, as a society in general, can like function like this. I just, if we're so lost in without objective like reality, I don't think that we can have a properly functioning society like this. It just doesn't work. Okay, if like media outlets are lying or skewing the truth, you have someone who has millions of viewers like just outright lying. I don't know. It's not a conspiracy, NSA is spying on us. He just has the delusion of grandeur that he is a specific target. Yeah, no, I'm saying the conspiracy is that the NSA is spying on him with the intent of taking his show down. That's the conspiracy. We know that the intelligence community has like obviously too much access to our information. It's not out of the realm of reality. We know that. I'm just saying that like he's fermenting this idea, and it's like people are accepting this as true, and it's a problem. It really is. It's like the total like objective reality is gone. It's gone. I mean, like we live in basically we live in a situation where like I suppose flat Earth is a valid valid theory now, I guess, because people live so divorced from reality that this is where we're at. We're like, Jesus Christ. I think it makes fascism more likely in the US. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's possible. I'm not sure. I'm just worried about like the ability for lies to be perpetuated in this manner, to even go as far as affecting the largest voting bloc. This is beyond me. It just blows my mind how 30% of like independents somehow are unsure of whether or not how, like, out of all the court cases, 60 plus court cases, out of all the audits, out of all the counts, all the recounts, I mean, bro. A lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth even gets its shoes on. True. True. Even if I take Tucker's claim that he's being spied on by the NSA, that only leads me to wonder what the fuck is being firing him to get the attention of a major government agency. It's not like he's trying to overthrow capitalism like those lefties. True. But you don't, yeah, like, but like, you don't need to do that to attract the attention of the NSA. It's just it's a complete farce, Octos goodies. Because like, you see, the reason why I think it's a complete farce is because at the end he kind of like, he kind of gives himself an out by saying, well, we filed a FOIA request, but just so you guys know, we don't expect to get anything in return. In other words, don't expect us to show you any evidence. Like, wait, this is a huge claim, Tucker. At least show us that you're filing a FOIA request. But of course, he won't do that. He just expects you to be scared all the time about something. There's always something to be scared about. Alright, serious stuff. Oh, good lord, I can't stand this, like, drop-down ad. It's infuriating. well, I don't know if it's a drop-down ad or if it's like a part of like the page code. With more contagious Delta variant, some officials are issuing new mask guidance. The more transmissible Delta variant, it has spread to almost every state, fueling health experts concerned about a COVID spike. The variant is expected to be the dominant strain in the U.S. The director of the Center of Disease Control and Prevention said, with half of the U.S. still not fully vaccinated, doctors said it could cause a resurgence of COVID in the fall, just as children too young to get vaccinated go back to school. So like, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, well, we need to understand that the whole entire reason why we need to get ahead of this thing is before it becomes established. That was the whole purpose of trying to get people vaccinated as quickly as possible, in as much, as many people as possible, as quickly as possible, right? Howdy. Everybody go follow Grolem at twitch.tv/Grolem. Actually, it's very clever. They're picking things that are true, like the NSA is a problem, but they also know that the solution disbanding is a poison pill, so they can rail against big government, but nothing will change. True. Of course. Filing a FOIA isn't going to do anything anyways. You usually have to submit them over and over, narrowing down the specifics before they give it up. It's a disingenuous thing to say they filed one and the NSA won't give it up. Right. Right, and like the whole point would be like, at least show us that you're trying to make that attempt to get that evidence for us, so that you can prove your case. But of course, he never does that. And even so, like, this is like the exact same thing that Steven Crowder did, where he made like an entire huge thing about suing YouTube and never actually ended up doing any of it. So like, okay, dude. Yeah, of course, Grolem. It's almost like getting rid of masks was a bad idea. True. I think that what we said before in terms of like, you know what? We're not at 70% or 80%, whatever the herd immunity is. We're not there yet. I don't like and I understand that the logic behind it is assuming that people are like reasonable and will like actually follow it and then say like, wait, if you're fully vaccinated and I'm fully vaccinated, we can kind of like hang out, right? But that's not how people are. So why would you make guidelines that, oh, this is so frustrating. But don't worry, folks. We are going to provide just a little bit of hopium in a second, okay? Yeah, half the country isn't vaccinated. Why would you ever think that it's a good idea to like release those like guidelines without properly understanding how human beings work? Like, oh, so frustrating. We're not even nowhere near. No, not hopium. Hope. Hold on. Hope. Yeah, that's right, Memo. So yes, in LA, the pace of the Delta spread has prompted officials to reinstate mask guidance for public indoor spaces regardless of vaccination status. The new voluntary mask guidance is needed until health officials can better understand how and to who the Delta variant is spreading. The Pfizer vaccine has been shown 88% effective against symptomatic infections caused by the Delta variant 2 weeks after the second dose. Those who received only one dose have significantly less protection. True. This is why you need both doses. Moderna's vaccine was found in lab experiments to work against new variants such as Delta strain. The company said researchers used serum samples from 8 participants taken a week after they received their second dose of vaccine. But the spread of coronavirus is outpacing vaccinations, which is the problem. Which is like why it's unbelievably like beyond me why they would why they would do this so prematurely. We talked about this, and I think Dark Knight, you were correct in your initial fears. When Jesus Christ. Now the Gamma variant has been shown to be more resistant to vaccines and antibody treatments. Hey folks, it turns out, remember what we were talking about how we were attempting to get ahead of this thing, and the whole purpose as to why we should move to try to get as many people as eligible for vaccinations vaccinated as soon as possible, because viruses do this thing called mutate, and each time it does that, we could be closer to a variant that is resistant, right? That's exactly the whole thing we're trying to avoid, and here it is. Now the Gamma variant has been shown to be more resistant to vaccines and antibody treatments. Last week, the WHO said even those who are fully vaccinated should wear masks in places with high rates of COVID. Yeah. I would not know if that's even a thing, Memo. I have no evidence for that. Manufacturing of consent and opposition psyops are part of the full spectrum warfare, PR, and marketing. What they're talking about, manufacturing consent is a strategy to basically ferment and artificially create narratives that become fact in the public eye. Many states have not reinstated mask mandates for the upcoming school years, including New Jersey, where masks will not be required unless school district decides to make it protocol. Yeah, but mask... Exactly, Grillum. For parents of children of ages 12 and up, the time to vaccinate them for school is now. The message is really clear. You should get your kids vaccinated. Those who are eligible to get vaccines should get vaccinated. That's it. Unless there's some, like, wild reason. In which case, talk to your doctor. Don't listen to this bobblehead on the internet. Why would you ever listen to a bobblehead on the internet? Talk to your doctor. If you have any type of questions, concerns, talk to your doctor. Holy yikes. And we need a manufacturing of dissent. I have 2 teenagers, both of whom have got vaccinated. The safety profile of these vaccines are really quite extraordinary. But I am listening to a bobblehead on the internet. True, but this bobblehead on the internet is telling you to not to listen to bobbleheads on the internet. So, yeah. Checkmate, bobbleheads. They're much safer than getting COVID. Yeah, no kidding. There have been extremely rare reports of myocarditis or inflammation of the heart muscle and pericarditis, or inflammation of the outer line of the heart. Yeah, exactly. Of the heart after the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines. Yes, incredibly rare. We documented this. We're studying it. Everybody chill, okay? Symptoms can include shortness of breath, chest pain, or feeling of a fast heartbeat. Patients can usually return to their normal daily activities after the symptoms improve. Yeah, so like, yeah, this happened. They're monitoring it, and it just goes to show how diligent they are. Okay? The known and potential benefits of COVID vaccinations outweigh the known and potential risks, including the possible risk of myocarditis or pericarditis. CDC continues to recommend COVID vaccinations for everyone 12 and age and 12 ages and older. Delta strain has been associated with 2.6 times the risk of hospitalization compared to the previous dominant strain in the UK. Again, vaccinations, masks are important. In the US, hotspots such as Missouri are seeing increased hospitalizations due to the Delta variant. Those hospitalized now are younger than those hospitalized during the winter COVID surge. In other words, it seems to me like as these things change and more variants appear, they become more dangerous, I think. My real worry is that the next one that comes after this, if we don't get ahead of it, will make all the work that we've done, completely irrelevant. Yeah, that's right, Halio. Well, Trump and the MAGA badmouth Fauci, COVID might be around for 5 years. That's up to us. That's really up to us. If we can get everybody vaccinated as quickly as possible, as much as possible, we have chances of stopping this before it gets bad, you know? There you go. A proper meme for this situation right here. So that's my worry. And I hope that this rings the alarm bells in people, and everybody has to do their part quickly as possible, you know? So now for the hopium. The study. New study. Moderna Pfizer vaccines may ward off COVID for years, not months. A new study on the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines shows they not only protect people from COVID, but perhaps for longer than they first thought. According to the study by Washington School of Medicine in St. Louis, these two mRNA vaccines could provide protection for years, not just months. Alright? For years, not just months. The study published in journal Nature shows that Pfizer and Moderna vaccines produce high levels of neutralizing antibodies and B cells that support the immune system. But instead of peaking after a few weeks, researchers found a strong immune response 4 months later, evidence that the vaccines train the body to fight off infection for the long term. So, yeah, it turns out, vaccines are incredibly effective. Wow, amazing. Good morning, Comrade Radio. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. Thank you for the raid of a party of 3. Massive raid. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. In case you guys don't know who we are A Difficult Truth. We do news and politics in the AM, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we also do Saturdays at about noon Eastern Time. We do video games and stuff like that just to have a breather, you know, hang out in the weekend. So I appreciate Good Morning, Comrade Radio. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate the raid. Go follow, go follow, go follow. But instead of peaking after weeks, researchers found a strong immune response nearly 4 months later, evidence that vaccines train the body to fight off infections for the long term. This is good. This is the stuff that I want to emphasize because, well, if we want to end this and we want to get ahead of any possible variants that may make this moot, then you should get vaccinated. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine was not included in this study, so somebody asked me, somebody posted that here. Wait, isn't that just defining a vaccine? Yes, but some people have skepticisms and don't understand, like, aren't living in this reality, so I need to emphasize the importance. And as more studies come out, it seems to me like this is just looking better and better in terms of like the efficacy of the vaccine. It just keeps proving that it's that it keeps proving the point that you need to do this, right? Just for ending this pandemic already. Well, the thing is, Memo, also originally we couldn't confirm just how long this immunity would last. We could only say at that time that the base immunity that was actually documented was 6 months. However, there was speculation that it could be way longer. Well, we have more data, and as more data comes out, we update that, and now we can say, look, actually, more studies have come out, and we could have immunity for years. We could have immunity for years. Vaccines are good, actually. True. Now the big variable here is the mutation of the virus to variants that can be more transmissible and cause more severe symptoms. The Delta variant, for instance, delivers double the risk of hospitalization compared with the Alpha variant, according to the WHO, but so far the vaccines are still protecting against it. So far. In other words, get vaccinated. And the study found that Moderna and Pfizer vaccines lead to high levels of neutralizing antibodies effective against 3 variants of the virus, including the beta variant from South Africa that has shown some resistance to the vaccines. So yeah, this is still holding up. This is still holding up so far. My worry is that when it, if and when it, you know, mutates, all of a sudden this may not be such a strong defense anymore. Listen, Representative Green is to not be taken seriously as a person, okay? Last time I checked, Representative Green... yeah, I know, Grolum, so I'm trying my best not to use MTG, because, like, Magic the Gathering. So... I just have to say Representative Green. Because I can't do it. I can't do it, Grolum. Last time I checked, Representative Green is not a infectious disease expert, so why anybody would ever believe a single word she has to say in terms of like vaccines or infectious diseases or pandemics is beyond me. Yeah, remember when you got polio and rubella as a kid? Oh, that's right. You didn't because of vaccines. Yeah. I know she loves Trump too much, that's true. So anyways, this is the hopium here. These mRNA vaccines, these mRNA vaccines are actually being, every time they come out with a new study, because, you know, they continuously monitor data in terms of like these mRNA vaccines. It seems to me like each time it's getting better and better in terms of like efficacy to fight off COVID. That's good. So therefore, logic stands that we should probably try to do our best to get as many people as vaccinated or encourage as much vaccinations as possible. That's if the virus doesn't mutate. Yes, that's what I'm afraid of. That's why I'm trying to like stress that message. Like, we need to get ahead of that, because if it does, and all of a sudden it makes these vaccines moot or inert or useless, all of that work, all of that effort, all of that money, research means nothing. Back to square one. Aw, I was getting all worked up, then the cat just jumped in my lap. Much calmer. That's cute. Cats are awesome. Yes, Representative Green loves attention. I think a lot of the initial estimates of the efficacy were intentionally conservative so that they didn't overpromise. Right, and like it was based on the data that they had available. That's what, like, I want people to understand how like it works. At the time, that's what they had to work with, right? At the time, that's what they had to work with. They said, okay, well, we can definitely guarantee that they work for 6 months. We can definitely guarantee that. That's what the data shows. Now, guess what? We got more data, and it shows that it actually may be off for years. My little dude is goes to scratch everything and rip up your furniture. Oh no. Well, with our cat, initially when we first took her in, we didn't have like scratching posts for her, so she attempted to use our couch as a scratching post, but she's been absolutely wonderful with the furniture. Once we got her a whole bunch of cat scratching posts. We got there's 3 in 1, 2, 3. Outside there's 2. Outside there's 3. Outside there's 3 in the living room and kitchen. So yeah, she's got plenty of cat scratching posts. And she doesn't bother the furniture anymore. She doesn't touch it. Like very, very, very rarely has she destroyed or attempted to destroy our couch. Oh, Darknet. She's got claws. If I could show you, how she's gotten me. Ooh. Talking is hard, true. If you haven't multiple water dishes in different parts of the house, yes. Unfortunately, water dishes are just the water cups we leave unattended, so they just become her water cups. That's what it is. Yes. We just gave them a couch, it is already ruined. Oh no. Well, I only have one cat, so she just chills. Our couch is her, like, bed space. Like, I'll wake up, like, in the middle of the night, and sometimes, if she's not sleeping at the foot of the bed, she'll be sleeping in the couch. And on rare occasions, like this morning, I found her right next to me. She woke me up, by purring next to me. If you live somewhere that's in a drought and heat wave, leave out water for the animals outside. True. Yes, true. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's very true, Darknet. Does anyone want to see this FDA link? You can post links. Yes, that's very true. Alright, so we got, speaking of heat waves, historic Northwest heat wave linked to dozens of deaths and hundreds of emergency visits. But yeah, let's keep putting our head in the sand as to the impacts of, climate change. The emergency use authorization allows FDA to strengthen national public protections against chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear. Yes, this is true. Yeah, so this doesn't mean that there's like any rush when it comes to making these vaccines, right? There's been extensive and careful oversight of this. Hundreds of people have visited the emergency departments or urgent care clinics in the Pacific Northwest since Friday. As many as 230 deaths have been reported as an excruciating heat wave smashed all-time temperature records in Oregon, Washington, and Canada. Portland set a record high temperature 3 days in a row, topping at 116 degrees on Monday. Seattle hit 108. A new record, at least 2 locations in Washington reached 118, which, if confirmed, would tie the state temperature record date back to 1928. A town in southwest Canada registered a temperature of 117 degrees, the highest ever recorded in the country, and 48 degrees above what's normal this time of year. Yeah. Yeah. Scientists have told CNN the heat wave is a clear sign of the climate crisis, and similar extreme heat events will happen more frequently in the future. Hey, welcome to the new normal, folks. Still think this isn't a problem? In Washington, at least 676 people visited the emergency departments of heat-related symptoms Friday through Sunday alone, before the peak heat descended upon the state. Corey Portner, a spokesman for the Washington State Department of Health, said 81 of those cases led to an inpatient admission. Yikes. Does it even get hot in Portland normally? I wouldn't know. But 116 degrees. Where was it? Yes, Portland, 116 degrees. King County, which includes Seattle, had 40 emergency department visits for heat-related illness on Saturday and 91 on Sunday. So, yeah, I mean, it gets 90s tops. Yes, exactly. Yeah, heat, no AC in most of those homes because they're not, like, this isn't the normal climate for them. This isn't, like, a normal situation for them. This is devastating. All right, this is a nightmare scenario, right? How's it going, Midnight Slip? It's only sunny 3 months out of the year, and the rest of the year is gloomy and rainy. Gotcha. Which the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because let's talk more about climate change.
The Colorado River, one of the longest rivers in the U.S., is drying up. So much so that for the first time ever, the U.S. government is expected to declare a water shortage in the region. But why is this happening? Well,
a water shortage in the region. All right, 2021, folks. Imagine when this becomes like a even worse issue, attempting, you know, when water becomes a problem as a widespread issue, because it's already happening in regions where it's difficult to get water. Imagine when this starts happening just as a normal across the board thing, right? Again, just saying.
Well, to no one's surprise, scientists are attributing the mega drought to climate change. The Colorado River is famously known for passing through 7 states in the Southwest, having rich biodiversity,
that's good to hear,
and for providing drinking water to approximately 40 million people.
40 million,
to
folks.
The US Drought Monitor map, the Southwest is exceptionally dry, which is the worst category possible, and it's taking a toll on the Colorado River system. It's projected that the river could lose anywhere between 14 to 31% of its flow by 2050, depending on how hot temperatures get. In fact, researchers say that for each additional 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit of warming, the river's average flow can drop by about 9%. However, what's being affected the most right now is Nevada's Lake Mead, which is the nation's largest reservoir. It's formed by the Hoover Dam right on the Colorado River. It's also a crucial water supply for Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Southern California, for both its people and agriculture. Lake Mead has dropped 130 feet since the year 2000, which is about the height of a 13-story building. The drought has also cut the dam's hydropower output by about 25%.
Yikes.
This is what it looked like in 2000 when the water would come right up to the top of Hoover Dam. And this is what it looks like now, at just 37%
Jesus
capacity.
Christ.
Unfortunately, if it continues to drop, the dam might stop producing electricity altogether. Scientists have pinpointed that the melting of the reflective snow is what's making the river super sensitive to increasingly warming temperatures. You see, the snow is meant to serve as a protective shield against sunlight. But because the world is getting hotter, precipitation is falling more as rain instead of snow in certain areas.
Right, so these are like the domino effects that I've talked about, where like just this one simple act of one thing could cause a domino effect to lead to all of a sudden this other thing, which translates to this other thing, and now all of a sudden it goes right back around and turns into a feedback loop.
The snow is also melting earlier and faster in the year. So without snow, the water absorbs the sun rays and evaporates. So what's the solution? At this point, adapting. Water managers and policymakers, along with area residents and farmers, will have to adapt to new guidelines of water usage as the increase of severe water shortages is expected. Basically, people are going to have to learn how to live with less water. As I mentioned earlier, for the first time in history, the federal government is expected to declare a water shortage on the lower Colorado River, which will impact water supply for Nevada and Arizona residents and farmers starting in 2022. The 7 states surrounding the river have also created the Colorado River Drought Contingency Plan, DCP for short, with the goal to reduce water supply risks and find proper ways to distribute water within streams and lakes. As for what you can do, well, try to conserve as much water as possible. The average American family uses more than 300 gallons of water a day, and a lot of that water is wasted. through leaks, inefficient appliances, water faucets that are left running, etc. So the next time you leave the faucet or shower running, just remember, we're running out of water.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. The world must be remove 1 billion tons of CO2 by 2025 to meet climate goal. Yeah, things that are not going to happen. Projects in development will remove only a fraction of the amount of carbon dioxide from the air that needs extracting by 2025 to meet the Paris climate target and avert catastrophic warming. A report said on Wednesday more than 190 countries have signed to the Paris Agreement, designed to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, but even with the pledges of big reduction in emissions, many scientists believe that removable technologies will be needed to meet that goal. Yeah, it's not happening. It's not. I think that, like, even though we should obviously, like, do what we can, we have to be realistic about, we have to be realistic. I don't believe we're going to hit that 1.5. I think it's already too late. At this point, we should be doing everything humanly possible for mitigation purposes. And like the other video said, I guess it could be the other word that we could use is adaptation. Adaptation, mitigation is what we need to be doing. It's not realistic to even think that we might have the ability to make that 1.5 degrees Celsius, right? I don't think it's realistic. I mean, unless we do something tomorrow and every single one of those 190 countries do everything to, like, just start working on this as in consortium with all the technological resources, immediate disconnect from fossil fuels. I mean, it's just not feasible. It's not realistic to expect that they're going to hit the 1.5. At this point, it's mitigation. It's, as the other video said, it's adaptation. Yeah, we're heading for 3 degrees. If we don't turn this ship around and we continue down this path, yeah, easily, we're heading for 3 degrees Celsius. I believe the worst case scenarios start becoming more and more probable. Even within the 1.5 degrees, if we continue down this path, and in other words, we don't do anything, if we continue as business as usual, 1.5 degrees Celsius could be plausible within 5 years. We have a 40% chance, 40-ish% chance that it becomes 1.5 within 5 years. Unfortunately, a handful of nations are bringing 1,000 of GW of new coal-powered plants in the near future, even though renewables are cost-effective now. I mean, like, yeah, but the reality is we have to take the lead regardless. Kinetic pause. The best day was yesterday. The second best day is today. The time is now. 3 degrees is the mean. Yeah, I mean, it's at this point we can safely say that we are now on the defensive. We are now on the mitigation. We are now on the adaptation stage, right? Oh, gigawatts. Gotcha. Oh. Okay, yes. But the point being is that we need to take the step. We need to be at the front, and we need to be the one saying, hey, this needs to be fixed now. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to invest in X, Y, and Z. Those countries that can't, or those countries that can't, will provide the resources necessary to go green. Whatever it takes, we're throwing everything at it. That's the mentality that we should have right now. Oh, here we are. Right here. Without action to deliver 1 gigaton of negative emissions globally by 2025, keeping the global warming within the Paris Agreement cannot be achieved. Yeah, so like, here it is. Right here. It's just... Hey, Jesse, how's it going? It's just like not realistic to think that we're going to somehow magically make this goal. Out of all the things that the Paris Agreement put down as a goal achievement list, we did about fuck all. The UK has reduced its coal source energy from 1.8 to 40 to 0 in the next few years. I mean, anything and everything that we can be doing to remove ourselves from fossil fuels in as much ways as possible, in as quickly as possible, as humanly possible, is what we need to be doing. In any way, shape, or form, whatever it is that we need to do to remove ourselves from fossil fuel, to put ourselves off that in as many ways as possible and as quickly as possible, is what really the action should be. No, yeah, I'm not gonna knock the idea of like in the next few years with 0 coal source energy. That's good. I'm just saying that we need to do that across the board. We need to do everything and anything humanly possible, anything and everything humanly possible. Now, essentially. Well, 10 years ago, but now, yeah, now's good. It said countries will need to remove 1 billion tons of CO2 from the atmosphere by 2025 if the Paris Agreement is to be met, more than 1 billion tons annually thereafter. Yeah, it's just not gonna happen, right? I don't believe so. The current pipeline of projects in development could remove only 150 million tons by 2025, well short of what's needed. Negative emission projects include bioenergy with technology to capture and store carbon emissions, technology to directly capture and store emissions from the air, and natural climate solutions such as afforestation. Current removal technology is expensive, and while many countries around the world have initiatives in place to put a price on CO2 emissions, the prices are far too low to incentivize new projects. Yeah. So, TLDR, this idea that we're somehow going to make it to the 1.5 is unfortunately laughable.
So we have a major update to the Julian Assange case, specifically the United States' case for extradition. Their argument that they were using legally has basically completely fallen apart. And now it's unclear what's going to happen going forward. But having said that, of course, this is really good for Julian Assange and for press freedom in the United States if the United States government isn't actually able to extradite someone who's effectively a publisher of leaks. So, for more on this, let's actually read the article, which is an Icelandic publication that talked about an interview given by someone who purported to know Julian Assange. So, a major witness in the United States Department of Justice case against Julian Assange has admitted to fabricating key accusations in the indictment against the WikiLeaks founder. The witness, who has a documented history with sociopathy and has received several convictions for sexual abuse of minors and wide-ranging financial fraud, made the admission in a newly published interview in Stunden, where he...
Yikes. The only way we can do it is if everyone goes vegan and we rewild over our land to sequester carbon. There are 100 million cattle in just the US and it's never going to be sustainable. Yeah, God. That's the thing, Darknet. It's not it's not going to happen, and that's scary. That's scary. That's scary.
Also confessed to having continued his crime spree whilst working with the Department of Justice and FBI and receiving a promise of immunity from prosecution. The man in question, Sigurdur Ingi Thordarson, was recruited by US authorities to build a case against Assange after misleading them to believe he was previously a close associate of his. In fact, he had volunteered on a limited basis to raise money for WikiLeaks in 2010, but was found to have used that opportunity to embezzle more than $50,000 from the organization. Julian Assange was visiting Thordarson's home country of Iceland around this time due to his work with Icelandic media and members members of parliament in preparing the Icelandic Modern Media Initiative, a press freedom project that produced a parliamentary resolution supporting whistleblowers and investigative journalism. The United States is currently seeking Assange's extradition from the United Kingdom in order to try him for espionage relating to the release of leaked classified documents. If convicted, he could face up to 175 years in prison. The indictment has sparked fears for press freedoms in the United States and beyond, and prompted strong statements in support of Assange from Amnesty International, Reporters Without Borders, and editorial staff of The Washington Post, and many others. U.S. officials presented an updated version of an indictment against him to a magistrate court in London last summer. The veracity of the information contained therein is now directly contradicted by the main witness whose testimony it is based on. Wow. Now, we're not even scratching the surface as it relates to that article. It is very deep and comprehensive, so I will link to it down below and I encourage you to read the whole thing. But there is a reason why you have outlets like The Washington Post coming out against the extradition case against Julian Assange. It's because in the event he were actually prosecuted under the Espionage Act, this could set a new precedent that actually stifles the First Amendment in the United States. It's a serious issue. Like, I don't care what your thoughts are on Julian Assange. This is about press freedom in the United States. If it is now the case that publishers can be prosecuted on very legally dubious and flimsy grounds because they published classified leaks that the government didn't want to get out, imagine what that means for, government's accountability.
So my wife got me this weird new tool for Christmas, and at first I thought it looked kind of crazy. I didn't really understand what the benefits would be.
What are you trying to sell me here?
I figured, well,
and the First Amendment. Outlets like The Washington Post, Reuters, any other journalistic outlet may have to fear for themselves if they publish something that the government doesn't want to get out. So this isn't just about Julian Assange. This case has broad implications, which is why I would highly encourage my liberal friends to try to get past Julian Assange here and whatever they may feel about him based on 2016, and try to think about the long-term repercussions if the U.S. government actually gets him extradited and prosecutes him under the Espionage Act. It would really be horrible. Once you take the cat out of that bag, you're not putting the cat back in that bag. You're not unringing that bell. It's dangerous territory, and it's good that their case is falling apart. And, simply put, as Edward Snowden says, this is the end of the case against Julian Assange. Yeah, well put. And he adds, if Biden continues to seek the extradition of a publisher under an indictment poisoned top to bottom with false testimony admitted by its own star witness, the damage to the United States' reputation on press freedom would last for a generation. It's unavoidable. Yeah, and he's exactly right, because understand, if the U.S. government continues their extradition case against Julian Assange, especially now that the evidence and the entire argument or the basis of their suit against him has fallen apart, they're tacitly admitting that they were pursuing Julian Assange for political purposes and not legal purposes. And that's a horrible look. It is deeply authoritarian. So, we're not necessarily sure what's going to happen next. Hopefully, if we're being really, really optimistic, the Biden administration will drop their extradition case against Julian Assange. But I do want to share a little clip from Democracy Now! Where Amy Goodman actually interviewed Assange's lawyer, and she kind of gives us a little bit more insight into what's happening, what we could possibly...
Everybody go to twitch.tv/LostSue. Check them out. They have good stuff. Good stuff. Lots of knowledge.
Expect.
This is just the latest revelation of how problematic the United States case is against Julian Assange, and in fact baseless. Of course, as you outlined at the introduction, the evidence from Lord Assange that was given to the United States and formed the basis of the second superseding indictment, including allegations of hacking, has now been, on his own admission, demonstrated to have been
I don't think so.
Not only did he misrepresent
XL.
his access to Julian Assange and to WikiLeaks and his association with Julian Assange, he has now admitted that he made up and falsely misrepresented to the United States that there was any association with WikiLeaks and any association with hacking. So this is just the latest revelation to demonstrate why the US case should be dropped. We have to begin, of course, with the free speech implications. Free speech groups, the Washington Post, the New York Times, mainstream media are unanimously against
I don't know if YouTube would be the
as a threat to freedom of speech.
Would be the bastion of
leaving that aside, the factual basis for this
sources.
case has completely fallen apart.
As far as I can tell, no.
For this case to be dropped for a very
as
long
far
time.
as I know.
And this is just the latest form of abuse demonstrated in this case that shows why it ought to be dropped.
Jen Robinson, why do you believe Thordarson came forward now? He not only granted this exclusive interview to the Icelandic paper Stundin, but he also turned over never published before chat logs and new documents of his time as a WikiLeaks volunteer, and talk about his actual prominence within the organization or lack of it.
I can only speculate as to why he would choose to come forward now, but of course, As
don't.
you know, in
This is
January,
literally
we won
just
the
a video
extradition
I'm
fight.
playing.
The judge decided to
Wait.
refuse Julian Assange's extradition to the United States. Unfortunately, not on free speech grounds, but on humanitarian grounds
We have
associated
different
with his mental health and the
news
oppressive prison conditions he would
outlets
face if returned to the United
that we
States. The
go
United States, under
through.
the Trump administration, sought
What?
to appeal that decision, and we are still
I
awaiting
understand
a
you
decision
just
from the
got
British
here, but
court
just to be
as
clear,
to
this
whether
is a
permission
YouTube
to appeal
video.
will be granted. Pending that decision, Julian remains in prison in the United States. So this is just another indication. We have been calling for this case to be dropped. We have been asking the Biden administration to drop the appeal and allow Julian to return home to his family. And I think this latest revelation will only contribute to that appeal to the Biden administration to put an end to this case. So perhaps he was motivated on those grounds, but it's hard to say.
So there it is. For now, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I genuinely hope that this gets the media attention that this story deserves, because members of the media, for all this discussion about protecting the press throughout the Trump years, you have to understand that Trump was also against Julian Assange, and Biden is just continuing that legacy. So it doesn't matter that Trump is no longer in office. What's being done is deeply authoritarian, and members of the media actually have an obligation, and I think it's in their own self-interest to speak up and cover this in an accurate way, regardless of how they may or may not feel about Julian Assange. For me, it's not about Julian Assange and his political preference. It's about press freedom in the United States and protecting the right of publications to be able to publish classified information brought to them by leakers. That is incredibly important for democracy and holding our government accountable. And we have to make sure that we preserve that right by fighting very hard to not set this new precedent that would be deeply dangerous.
Yeah, so TLDR, listen, the government, this is the same logic that I would apply to Snowden. Right? This is the same logic that I would apply to Snowden. Look, the government, take your L. Just take your L. Admit what you did and move on. That's it. The government should just take its L. They did what they did. Yeah, I didn't see anything either, Darknet. The government did what it did. It was caught. It was leaked. Just take your L, bro. Just take your L. Leave Snowden alone. Leave Assange alone. One of the main cores of a democracy is transparency, right? It's transparency. If anything, the government should welcome the transparency that Snowden brought up, right? Assange. Alright folks, really quickly, Democrats push forward with a partisan-tilted committee to investigate January 6th. Before we get into this folks, I'm going to take a second to, oh my goodness, Our Means, with a resubscription for 5 months. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey Political Talks, how's it going? So, welcome. Thank you, Our Means, I appreciate that. Alright, so before I get into this story, we're going to take a quick break, just a quick one, and we will be right back. And the second to show for myself, if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe on the YouTubes. It really does help us out. And if you enjoy the content, make sure that you tell everybody and anybody that this is the chillest place to be for news and politics. Also, Our Means, I would like to make a Our Means. I would like to make a public statement. I have now been convinced that through obvious and rigorous research that and I have evidence that the Majority Report did steal my set. Okay? And I want Sam Cedar to know that when he sees me, he's gonna be like, oh no, it's ADT. What a nightmare. Alright, nah, I'm just memeing. Alright, enough of the memes. Enough of the memes. I'll be right back. True. Is that why he won't debate me? That's right. I'm sorry, that clip will forever live in my head. Oh man. Now I got the song stuck in my head. Me too. Me too. Let's see if we can find it.
With Zillow 3.
I think it's this one.
No, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare.
I always respect people who enter into the arena. Do anything you can to avoid the debate.
I was talking to Rational National and how Crowder starts knowing new Sam, but many streamers emerge out of the American community, probably most in West community. Yeah, I mean...
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare.
I always respect people who enter into the arena.
Seems that even Crowder had gotten some cold feet, so I don't think he's coming.
Why is that?
I would love to ask him myself. He's not even answering anymore.
That's right.
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. 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 Oh no,
Yeah, it is a catchy
Sam
song.
Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. I had no idea this was going to happen.
I think what does it for me is the I'm sorry, but you can't fake that. You can't fake that. Back in the day, I was there when me, Rational National, Mike from PA, and Jamie were infants. Wow. His voice is too obnoxious. True. No, but what does it for me is like is the forehead smack, right? Like, you can't, I'm sorry, but that was a genuine reaction. That was a genuine reaction. Oh man. All right. Democrats push ahead with a partisan tilted committee to investigate January 6th. Democrats in the House are pushing ahead with a plan to create a committee to investigate January 6th attacks on the Capitol, comprised of more Democrats than Republicans, a partisan tilt that is already sparking criticism from the GOP. Hold on. Wait. Okay, hold on. Wait. So, you were offered in the Senate, you filibustered an offer to create a completely bipartisanship committee. A complete bipartisan. 5 and 5 both have equal subpoena power. Both of them have equal subpoena power. You shot that down. You don't get to complain. You don't get to complain. The House is scheduled to vote on Wednesday on a resolution to form a select committee, but who will serve on the 13-person panel is unlikely to be revealed until the passage, including just how many Republican lawmakers will be included. House Speaker Pelosi introduced a measure Monday to establish the panel, which would consist 13 members. She appoints 5, including 5 who will be selected after consultation with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. So even then, they still have the hand reach out to them for bipartisanship. Representative John Katko, who negotiated a plan to establish a bipartisan commission, ultimately blocked by Senate Republicans. So again, you can't complain when you were offered these things. Is very disappointed in Democrats moving forward with the select committee. That's a you problem. You already had the option of doing it. This is exactly what I was concerned about. That we didn't have a balanced committee. Well, you were offered that. And this is what we're going to have now. Saying that this seemed politically charged. Nah. You had the option of having a completely equal and bipartisan committee. And you shot it down. You were even involved in the negotiation plans with the Senate, Mr. Katko. You have absolutely no reason to complain. This was on you. You did this. Now deal with it. He pointed out his own party's repeated efforts to investigate the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi as proof that the partisan-leaning community cannot build credibility. Benghazi got us nowhere because what exactly were you expecting to find? Look how long it took for that. That was politically charged on our side of the aisle, and it got nowhere. An aide to the Speaker Pelosi said, is seriously considering appointing a Republican. With one of her unilateral picks, she will also appoint the chair, who won't be announced until sometime after the vote. The committee, which will include members of the House, will have the power to subpoena documents and witness testimony. The panel's purpose is limited to investigating the January 6th riot, including which hundreds of supporters of President Trump stormed the Capitol in an attempt to interrupt the counting of electoral votes, formalizing Joe Biden's victory. The whole purpose of this is just to essentially catalog, put into record all of the footage, evidence, witness testimony into one report as to what happened on January 6th. Also, last time I checked, there was some wild conspiracy accusations by our, which we talked about earlier, by our good friend Tucker, who said that the FBI had something to do with this. So why wouldn't you want this be investigated? And then the other wild conspiracy theories about how, like, somehow it was like a false flag by Antifa, which was again BS. Wouldn't you want that investigated? Wait, I thought that you wanted the truth. There are a handful of Republicans who support the bipartisan commission who might be considered by Pelosi to be added to the committee. Asked if she would consider choosing Representative Liz Cheney, was outspoken about Trump's role in inciting the riot on January 6th, told NBC News, we'll see, first we'll have to get the bill passed, which they have the majority. I don't see why they wouldn't. Cheney said on Monday that she hadn't spoken to Pelosi about it and said decisions is up to the speaker. Well, I mean, why would you continue to press for questions when at the beginning of this, Nancy Pelosi said that she has absolutely no idea who's going to be on this, and that will be decided should the bill pass. So I don't know why they're trying to find answers where they're not going to get any. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise voiced frustration with the process, saying that Tuesday at a GOP leadership press conference that Pelosi should be using the House committee that already exists to investigate the January 6th attack. I think even if the Senate is taking the approach of having some of their standing committees look into it, Speaker Pelosi ought to be exercising the same ability, not going down a partisan route. You were given the bipartisan option already. And furthermore, she's even willing to put some of the Republicans in here too. So, I don't know. It seems like a you problem. Unbelievable. I don't think we'll have time to listen to all of this, but I'm curious as to what this is about.
The current Red Army amphibious tank. It is now the property of the United States. It was not given to us by the Russians, nor did we purchase it, nor did we capture it in battle. You could say that it was obtained, all 15 tons of it, through intelligence channels. Or you could say we stole it. Once upon a time, spying or espionage was a fairly straightforward game. But we have come a long way rather quickly from Mata Hari. There is something new in the science of spying.
I'm listening, I just have nothing to say.
Military hardware and secret plans, but
yeah, like you can't have it both ways.
And men to promote our policies around the world and sometimes to overthrow governments we don't like. In the spy business, the dagger is replacing the cloak, and that is what this program is about.
During the past few years, the Central Intelligence Agency has embarked on a rebranding campaign to market itself as a noble, inclusive, and even woke organization. This is in part to erase its dark history, which was once more widely known in the United States. It struggled through decades of controversy, saw their methods scrutinized in the public eye, and they had a reputation for being immoral and unethical, to say the least. But the post-9/11 era opened an opportunity to rehabilitate their image, gain new approval in the public eye, that now they're a force for good. And all that assassination and death squad stuff, well, that's all in the past. Their current rebrand is just the latest phase of this makeover, and in a climate where they now have widespread acceptance in popular culture, academia, and news media. Which is why it's so important to document their true legacy and explore why these operations are not just part of their history, but part of their present. That under this progressive veil, they remain the same sinister organization. It's a huge topic to explore, spanning 7 decades, and a seemingly infinite list of crimes. But before we jump into the CIA stories, ranging from the utterly absurd to the downright evil, we need to understand how and why the CIA was created in the first place. To do that, I'm joined by Douglas Valentine, author of several books on the CIA, including The CIA as Organized Crime and The Phoenix Program, America's Use of Terror in Vietnam.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Caleb Maupin already told us how BreadTube is actually working with the CIA to undermine all of this, so... Alright, hold on. True.
Gave people on the left a little bit of hope last week, and then he immediately collapsed, imploded, folded, and made everybody feel dumb for having even just a teeny weeny eensy ounce of hope. So he came out and said something along the lines of, listen, don't even bother sending the bipartisan infrastructure deal to my desk if the reconciliation bill doesn't get to my desk. So in other words, I'm not signing that reconciliation. I'm not signing the bipartisan one if the reconciliation one doesn't get there. I care about both bills, and I either sign them both or I sign none of them. That was the implication of what he was saying. It was a very clear veto threat. Well, then, after the Republicans saw that, and they whined, and they bitched, and they moaned, and they cried, and they went on TV, this is unfair, Biden comes out, and we get this. At a press conference after announcing the bipartisan agreement, I indicated that I would refuse to sign the infrastructure bill if it was sent to me without my family's plan and other priorities, including clean energy.
No,
that
I don't think he
statement
is.
Understandably upset some Republicans who do not see the two plans as linked. They are hoping to defeat my family's plan and do not want their support for the infrastructure.
Yeah. I think that he is in another world. That's right, KTS.
Plan to be seen as aiding passage of the family's plan. My comments also created the impression that I was issuing a veto threat on the very plan I had just agreed to, which was certainly not my intent. Completely backs down, completely implodes, completely folds. He's literally saying, no, I mean, I agree to the plan, so no matter what, I'm going to sign the bipartisan plan. But you were just saying that it has to come with the reconciliation plan or you're not going to sign it. Now you're saying my comments also created the impression that I was issuing a veto threat on the very plan I had just agreed to, which was certainly not my intent. Now, listen, there is a technical way that Biden can try to weasel out of this, which is Pelosi apparently said, if one of the bills gets to your desk, both of them are getting to your desk. Like, we literally won't even vote on the bipartisan one if the Senate doesn't take up the partisan one. So that's Pelosi saying, you'll either get neither of the bills to your desk or you'll get both of the bills to your desk.
That's not how you...
So,
wait.
Biden, if somebody were to call him out to his face about this, he might say, here's what you don't understand. I'm either going to get both or I'm going to get none. So, I'm either signing them both or I'm signing none. So he could make that argument.
He knows the R's will vote against it anyway. It's all about midterm elections already.
In terms of rhetoric, this is a white flag to the Republicans. The rhetoric is, oh, if I upset you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. Please still support the bipartisan deal. Here's why this is inexcusable to me. The bipartisan deal is fucking trash. It's trash. I'd wipe my ass with that bipartisan deal. Are you kidding me? It privatizes large swaths of our infrastructure. It hands it over to Wall Street. Like, we covered the details of this the other week. The thing is a mess. It's also, by the way, regressive because it raises taxes on working people. I don't want to raise taxes on working people. The Republicans pretend like they're in favor of tax cuts, but apparently they're not in favor of tax cuts for regular people. They're only in favor of tax cuts for the wealthy. This bill...
Okay, so here's the thing. Bipartisanship is, in this situation, bipartisanship is a meme. It's not going to work. You're not going to get the votes you need, but you do have budget reconciliation, in which case you can pass this as part of budget reconciliation, right? This is how it's been done before. This is not a uniquely democratic strategy. This is a tool that they can use, right? They need to do that in this situation, because if they don't, and none of this green energy attempts, anything like that, any infrastructure renovations in terms of like green energy or any of that, if that doesn't pass, if that doesn't go through, worst of all, if they start privatizing all of this stuff, that's even worse. Then we have a problem. Do Democrats know how to use tools? No. They don't. It seems like Republicans are stalling till midterms to yoink elections at state level, and that these are stalling because they think that they can win elections. Meanwhile, I worry. Yeah, like this. If this is a strategy, if you are correct, I'm just taking like your words. If that is a back-asswards strategy to win. I mean, like, that's not a strategy to win. That is a strategy for failure. That is a strategy for failure. Hard stop. If that's the mentality that the Democratic Party has, OG Landshark, then it's already lost. It's already lost.
Bill raises taxes on regular people with the gas tax, and it's a privatization scheme. So, listen, if I'm Biden, I would have just probably not said anything, and then in the event that both got to my desk, I'd sign the partisan one and not sign the bipartisan one. And I'm like, yeah, this is trash. Here, take it. I don't care that you passed a bipartisan deal. What are the details of the deal? If the details are bad, why would I sign it? Why would I sign it? Just to say, I did something bipartisan. You could, in a bipartisan way, agree to torture. Does that make torture good? No. I mean, it's just one example, but we can go on and on here. Obviously, you guys know they always agree to, in a bipartisan way, to deregulate Wall Street and to start more war. Doesn't mean they're good. So I'd veto the bipartisan deal, and I'd sign the partisan deal. But listen, here's the thing that nobody's saying, and I don't know why nobody's saying it. Again, this is one of those weird things where everybody in political media agrees to do kabuki theater. I don't think this to a bill approach, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. Because I'm not sure you're going to pass either one, the bipartisan one or the partisan one. And I never understood the idea from the beginning. It just seemed like a pipe dream from the very beginning. I don't think you're going to get like Sinema and Manchin to agree to a bipartisan deal and then also get them to agree to a partisan deal, which has a lot of the stuff that they say they don't want. So if you were going to do this, you should have done it in one bill. And again, I hate to be a broken record here, but I'm a broken record for a reason. Biden should have done the carrot or stick approach with Sinema and Manchin and the 7 or 8 other Democrats who are a thorn in his side and let him know, no, you're going to vote for my agenda. We're going to come up with a bill that's somewhat palatable, and then you're going to vote for my agenda. And if you don't, you're going to regret it. If you do vote for it, I'm going to be your best friend, and you're going to love the perks that come along with that. I mean, that's what he had to do, but he's not doing it.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take to get these people on board. Mainly referring to President Joe Manchin and Madam President Sinema. I don't know what the play here is. This is incredibly frustrating. This is incredibly frustrating because, like, it is so crucial to get this done. This is one of the most crucial things at a pivotal time where we could have some really good opportunities in terms of like how we address climate change, and it's going down the tubes. It's slipping away. This is like a Hail Mary at this point. A literal Hail Mary to attempt to kickstart the conversation about dealing with green energy, dealing with climate change, right? Is going to get kicked down the tubes over what? Unbelievably fun. Because I really do feel like if this original proposal that had the ability to start talking about renewable energy and all this other stuff for infrastructure, if that doesn't pass, then that momentum is going to be incredibly hard to get back.
That he's not being LBJ, he's not being FDR. He's acting a lot more like Obama than he thinks he is. And so I don't think this plan is going to work. And you already have cracks in the foundation. You already have plenty of lawmakers speaking up.
And only to never get any, and all of that, regardless, to get 0 Republican votes anyways.
Up like, this isn't going to work and I'm not going to be for this. All right, well, if you can't cobble together a coalition, then you're not going to get anything done. And I think that's where we're going to be. So now it's adding insult to injury. You know, the injury is not getting anything through. The insult is you also came out there like a cuck and said, Republicans, please don't be mad at me. I'm sorry I said the thing that was the correct thing to say. Of course the correct thing to say was like,
whatever it takes, KTS.
I know they're separate bills, but I'm only signing them at both of them.
But if that works, then...
That was the original idea. You can't be like, the original idea. Did I say? I'm reiterating the original idea of this thing? Why would I do that? No, I'm against the original idea of this thing. Maybe. Beta shit, man. Beta shit.
I could have used better language, but I think that I think I could have used better rhetoric, but I think the idea stands that the idea that there's going to be some serious efforts of real bipartisan good faith conversations coming from the Republican Party when we try to address really big issues like climate change is laughable. It's the majority of the overwhelming majority, save maybe like one, isn't going to be on board with the idea of attempting to do any meaningful infrastructure adaptations for climate change. It's just not. I don't see it. So why would you expect that you would receive any type of bipartisanship support for this? Just use the tools that you have. Use the tools that you have, just like the Republican Party does each and every time, and get it done. Unbelievably frustrating. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is Kyle's saying beta unironically? I think he is. That's why I'm like, I think I could have chosen better rhetoric. I think I could have I think I could have made this. I think I could have made this argument better. This works out great for Biden because he gets to look like he's not the bad guy. Yeah, I guess anything for political expediency. But I guess the rest of us are out there to figure it out, I suppose, right? Just F everybody else. Yeah, not terribly professional language choices, but nice suit though. Yeah, how is it possible? Whatever. Yeah, the reality is, you're not going to get bipartisan support for any of this. Why aren't you doing what you can within the time that you have, within the tools that you have, just like you were elected to do so? I mean, like, this is so incredibly frustrating because, like, how are we supposed to tell voters in the midterms to vote for, like, if you're like a more like party person, how are you going to show up to voters and tell them to vote for the Democratic Party like this? How are you going to show up to Georgia voters? How are you going to show up to Georgia voters to defend the seat there and tell them to their face to vote for them? How? How are you going to seriously look at these people in the face and be like, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're going to have to vote for us again? I mean, Jesus Christ. Unbelievably infuriating. Unbelievably infuriating. And a slap in the face. I mean, like, when Raphael Warnock comes up for the special election, because that's coming up in the midterms, how is, where is the energy gonna come from? Where's the energy gonna come from to hold that seat? It wasn't exactly a slam dunk. That was a razor thin win. That was a razor thin victory. This pattern has gotten old. Ours caused some catastrophe. Usually recession, Dems win. Fix broke stuff. Ours let them block everything else, and ours win. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, but this is only going to work so much. OG Landshark. This is only going to work so far. I mean, like, this is an untenable strategy. How are you going to look voters in the face and say, vote for us again? Bus people? I don't know what that means. Right, like, exactly, like Darknet. Like, how am I supposed to, if I was like a on-the-ground strategist, if I was on the ground in Georgia, I couldn't do it. I don't know what I would say. I guess then the carrot and stick goes, well, we couldn't accomplish it this time, even though we had certain tools that we could have tried to at least deploy. But then it becomes, well, we need more Democratic senators in order to push past Manchin and Sinema. To push past Manchin and Sinema, so therefore you have to vote for the Democratic. Like, logically it makes sense, but I'm sorry. How are you? How am I supposed to sell that idea if we can't even do a single thing? How am I supposed to sell that idea if we can't even get an infrastructure bill for goodness sake? The best thing that we've done in terms of, like, if I'm speaking from like the Democratic Party mind, the best thing that has come out is like the American Rescue Plan did some good stuff, did meaningfully impact a lot of people. There was definitely some wonderful crumbs that were done, but that only happened because they forced it through reconciliation. Never mind, they would just lose by 2 votes instead of 3. True. I mean, I couldn't do it. I honestly couldn't do it. I honestly couldn't do it. I don't even know how people would get the energy to go out and attempt to sell, attempt to gather support, gather on the ground support for the Democratic Party. I don't get it. It is an untenable strategy in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. You were elected. You were elected for a reason. There was a monumental effort to make sure that both of those seats were won, and now you're gonna not do some of the more ambitious stuff? I don't know. Whatever. Howdy, howdy. The GOP oh, yeah, true. Sure. Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'm not going to dispute that. But there are things that the Democratic Party can do to meaningfully, turn some of these things around. I guess the reason why I'm being a little bit more focused on this is because I'm worried about the climate change aspect of this infrastructure bill being gutted out, and then like any type of like momentum for change in terms of climate change would be gone with it. I think that's like my main worry about it. Although I'll still be voting for Warnock, it's going to be hard for them to convince apolitical people. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, especially with all that energy that came out in 2020, you're not going to have that. I'm sorry. It took an extraordinarily tough and rigorous effort to get those people out to vote. You're not going to have that energy like this. And you barely won. Raphael Warnock barely won. Barely. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I'm always going to choose the lesser of, like, I'll evaluate, like, who is the lesser, like, who would benefit more, generally speaking. The Democratic Party generally has, like, better policies. Given the choices. You're always going to be choosing the lesser of two evils. So yes, of course, I'm going to choose the lesser of two evils, but this is untenable. Not only is it untenable for like political strategy, but it's untenable in the sense that nothing is fundamentally being addressed, and that's the problem. Nothing here is fundamentally being addressed. Right, Jesse, I guess that's also a possibility. I guess that's really at the underlying thing is what really like aggravates me, because like this is untenable. Nope, it's not working. Either change strategies or get swept and then everybody suffers. Simple as that. Simple as that. Alright folks, unfortunately I do have to get going. It is just 11:20. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Thank you Armeens for the subscription. Thank you so much for hanging out, by the way, Armeens. I appreciate that. Good morning, comrade, with the raid. I appreciate that. All the follows. I can't pronounce this. Philodor and J0QR. Thank you for the follows. I appreciate all of your support. Please, there are some good folks in chat that do good work. So please make sure you follow Heat420 _ Alio Share, the Kevin FM, Let's see if I missed anybody. Atlantic World Jesse has a YouTube channel. Let's see if I missed anybody here. Lost Sue, please go follow Lost Sue. Great stream as always. Thank you, Darknet. And of course, I appreciate Darknet and Grolum for standing by. I appreciate that. Oh yes, and twitch.tv/Grolum. You have a great day, wonderful party person. Thank you. I appreciate you, the Kevin FM. Thank you guys. As always, please spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be for news and politics. Hit that follow button. Do the YouTubes, do the Discords, all of that awesome stuff. Let me see here. I think today's Idan Simpson Day. Alright folks, let's head on over to Idan Simpson. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Last two got a shout out from the serfs yesterday and the Majority Report's main show. Yes! Yes, I saw that. Oh, and of course, before we go, lurks and stream. Thank you, Memius. I appreciate that. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next stream. See ya! Alright, hang tight, folks. We're heading over to Idan Simpson. We're heading over in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.